been another oil spill in Algoa Bay, that's in the Southern Cape, an area known for its biodiversity. The Maritime Safety Authority says response teams have now been deployed. This happened during a ship-to-ship transfer, a procedure that's recently been reinstated despite opposition from environmental groups. The practice has caused 3 other oil spills in the area in the past 6 years and affected animal life there. The Southern African Foundation for the Conservation of Coastal Birds, you know, them penguins, for example, is on alert to receive oiled birds. The foundation's Monica Stassen joining us now this hour. Monica, good afternoon. Yeah, how bad is this oil spill this time around from what you know?
Well, we're still at the very early stages of the oil spill. It was reported early yesterday. And the first 24 hours are probably the most critical in terms of finding out exactly what happened and the extent of the spill. We do know that we don't know the exact quantity at the moment of oil that was spilled. That is still being calculated by the relevant authorities and qualified personnel. But we are concerned about where it occurred and the proximity to some really sensitive habitats. And from our previous experiences, the last few oil spills, the marine life has been impacted, and so we just want to be ready and prepared.
Now, I've just said you are on standby or on alert to receive oiled birds. Have you seen any sign of such?
So at this stage, we've had reports of birds diving in the oil. We have not seen or had confirmations of oiled birds, but if they're diving in the oil, it's very likely that they will be oiled, and so we anticipate birds being brought to us, or at least being informed of oiled birds very soon.
Isn't it interesting that just a short while, when was this ship-to-ship oil transfer process? There's a name, there's a fancy name for it, okay, that you guys use and the Maritime Authority use. It was resumed on the 1st of April, after it had been stopped for a long time, and within a short space of time, we have an oil spill. What is this telling us?
I think what's really important to flag is the environmental concerns that we see in, as the fancy term, bunkering, is the risk. And one thing that SANCOP has always been concerned about is the fact that we have not yet seen an environmental impact assessment conducted in Algoa Bay on the impact of bunkering. And our concern is that it is having an impact, considering we've seen all these oil spills occurring in the space of a few years. So for us, that is a major concern, and it is one of the reasons that SANCOP has been very outspoken around the issue.
Yeah. How closely are you monitoring this latest spill that happened yesterday?
Extremely closely. We are part of the sort of group overseeing the response. So we are participating and collaborating very closely with management authorities, response organizations. We have been fully integrated into the response. So we are participating in discussions, meetings, and we are very much, getting support on the ground to conduct surveillance and surveys, so aerial surveillance, on the ground surveillance, boat patrols, to try and see if we can, locate oiled birds as quickly as possible.
Yeah, some people might argue that bunkering is a necessary economic activity. In terms of those communities there as well. You've got an environmental cap on. You are concerned. Is it possible to find the right balance here where it happens, providing the economic activity, which is much needed, at the same time protect the environment? Is it possible?
Well, true sustainability encompasses ecological, economic and environmental considerations, but they need to be working together. And the right amount of work needs to be done to fully investigate the different trade-offs that one has to operate under. And we just feel that not enough consideration has been given to what those risks are and how to mitigate them. So, a big role of what SANCOP has been focusing on is what we call contingency planning, which is putting the mechanisms in place to make sure that, you are prepared in the event there is a spill, that you can minimize your damage as much as possible, that the equipment is there, the resources are there, you can, deploy instantly, quickly, and this, effective response is largely determined by how rapid your response is and the capacity and resources that you have at the time. So contingency planning is fundamental to any response.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. We'll keep tabs on this as it develops. Hopefully, it's not really, really bad. Thank you very much for your time this hour. We're talking about that oil spill that took place yesterday in Algoa Bay. Maritime Safety Authority saying the response teams have been deployed. So far, conservationists, they have not really picked up any issues, but they are monitoring the situation very closely. Yet again, this spill is raising the question, do we or do we not continue with bunkering? That's the ship-to-ship oil transfer taking place on the sea. This one now has led to an oil spill in Algoa Bay. It was stopped for some years, a couple of years, and resumed now in April, despite concerns by environmental groups.